Hi, welcome to Nick White Music, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at topical songwriting. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of a journey that I've had with that over the last 12 months through the COVID pandemic, and also be looking at some hints and tips to hopefully help you with your songwriting. So let's get on with it. So firstly, I don't see this video as any kind of masterclass in songwriting. I'm definitely not a beginner songwriter, but I am on a journey and on a development and learning. So hopefully you'll be able to get from some of that some ideas for your own work. It would be really good to discuss it. And if you've got ways that you write songs that differ from what I'm going to say here, or are the same, or something I haven't even thought of, it'd be great to hear from you. So please do leave a comment below the video, and if you like what you see, you can subscribe to the channel and do click the like button as well. Okay, let's start off. What are we talking about? Topical songs. What's that? So all I mean by topical songs are songs that are written about current affairs. So things that are happening right now, that are in the news. We've had plenty of those over the last 12 months. We've had the pandemic. We've had American politics, not going into that. We've had all sorts of things around the environment and climate change, lots and lots and lots of inspirations. And one of the things that I felt was that the whole lockdown, COVID lockdown, gave me a real excuse to have both subject and time to write. I want to discuss the time thing in a little while, but let's look at the subject thing. Why are topical songs so good? I think what I've found is one of the reasons topical songs are so good is you have to write them quickly. Because if you don't write them quickly, it's gone. The moment's passed. So you have to get them written and edited and maybe recorded and maybe videoed as well in a really short space of time. And what that means is you don't have time for mucking around and re-editing until you achieve some kind of perfection. I don't think there really is a perfection anyway. You might disagree, let me know. But one of the things I found the most useful is that I have to get them on the table really quickly. And I think that I've heard an adage before that only 10% of everything you write is any good. So by that basis, if you write 10 songs, maybe you'll get one song that's any good. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get 2 or even 3. But let's assume it might be one song out of those 10. If you've got time to write 100 songs, then maybe you'll have 10 songs out of that. So that's why I think the topical songwriting idea is so good, especially if you as a songwriter, and we've all done it a bit before, are prone to over-editing and going back and back over the same song, trying to get it just right. It's a really handy way of getting through that. So what subjects did we have? Well, right at the beginning of the pandemic, last March 2020, we were told by our erstwhile Chancellor of the Exchequer that for those of us who are self-employed and who consequently had kind of lost all our gigging work, that we would be able to get, similar to furlough, we'd be able to get 80% of our profits, which is slightly different, but anyway, let's not go there, which was great, but that we might not get it until June. Now in March, that seemed a really, really long way away. And so I used that as an opportunity to write this song in June. Here's a song for the self-employed. I went to the bank on the Monday to see if I could get myself a loan. I think that I should mention it was for a new extension to a 2-up, 2-down home. I asked the banker, what can you give me? And he looked at me like I was a loon, and he said, 80% of nothing very much, and if you're lucky you can have it in June. Have it in June. Have it in June. 80% of nothing very much, and if you're lucky you can have it in June. I began really with writing mostly comedy songs. A couple of reasons really. One thing, we all needed cheering up. It was a pretty miserable time, and there was a lot of illness and death and frankly misery around, and I felt I didn't want to contribute to that. And also I didn't feel confident enough to explore perhaps the really big, important themes around loss of life and illness, but also some of the social things that were coming out of lockdown, people losing their jobs, and the politics around it all. I didn't feel I had the confidence to do that. So I tended to stick to comedy stuff. And I found that worked really well. It was quite easy. And although I was invested in some of it, I didn't feel necessarily a huge emotional link to it. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So along with the family, inveigling the family into helping me songwrite, I managed to come up with some ideas like this one, which you'll hear in a minute, Dressing from the Waist Up. The idea was the kid said to me, "Dad, you're in all these meetings all the time and you're wearing your slippers." And I looked down and I was indeed wearing my slippers. So I decided to have a go at writing this song. 1, 2, 3, 4. I used to go to town every weekend and wear the finest clothes that I could find. But now that I'm stuck here with my computer, I really found I've had to change my mind. 'Cause I've started dressing from the waist up, gonna make my face up to hide my blues. I've started dressing from the waist up, but at least I don't have to shine my shoes. As you hear from that last excerpt, I'd elected to use loads and loads of strong rhyme in my songwriting. I don't always in other songs, but for all of these songs that we'll feature today, they've all got really, really strong rhyming, and I feel that makes for a lighter and sometimes easier way of writing. If you try and write really prosy stuff, like non-rhyming, non-poetic stuff, it can be really hard to get it to fit into the space. Whereas when you rhyme, you have phrases and stresses that are given to you on a plate. Da 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 da. It has to rhyme, it has to fit in, and I feel that works musically, and it certainly worked for me in the last year. Again, in terms of getting things done quickly, it really worked for that. If you do rhyming, grab a rhyming dictionary or find one online, that always helps. And just be careful to watch your syllable count. So that thing, watching those syllables and making sure they fit, but that they fit in a way that makes the words intelligible. So think about how you would say that word. I might say elephant. I don't say elephant. I say elephant, so the stress is on the first syllable. So just watching those things, it doesn't mean you can't stress words on odd syllables, and I think there's been some really successful examples of that, but do just watch that when you're trying to fit that in with your rhyming. Make sure that the upbeats, the little word before the bar, I wandered, so the I of I wandered lonely as a cloud, I fits before the start of the bar. So just watch all those syllable counts and stresses. That's kind of really useful. So I carried on through the year using that format, really, and basically taking the same format and writing a bunch of different songs. And the way I made them different was to change the styles of them. So I've worked a lot in folk music before, but this time I elected to be completely style-free. Possibly taste-free, I don't know. So first of all, I came up with this one that you see up in the corner here. This was called Speed Me Up. It was a lament for slow internet speeds in the style of Kraftwerk. I want to use it all the time. Anyway, that's quite enough of that. And then also the social distancing waltz, which I'm going to pop up there as well, which was a kind of love song of two lovers separated by masks and government guidelines. So the idea was that they met in the supermarket, but they couldn't get near each other because they were supposed to be staying 2 meters apart. So all of these subjects just gave me a whole heap of stuff to work with. And it meant so far that I hadn't really looked at any of the really important or really socially or medically or otherwise affecting parts of the pandemic. But I did find that my confidence had gone up in terms of songwriting. And the other really interesting thing I found, I said we'd come back to this in the video, is that actually the time thing, the having time in lockdown, was actually a bit of an illusion. And that when I had subjects that freed me up to write, and especially with having to write them quickly, and that flowed with me, I was writing doing the washing up, I was writing in the shower, I was writing on a walk, probably don't write while driving, focus on the road, but you get the idea. And so actually that thing of, I need lots of time to write was a bit of an irrelevance, because I was able to sit and work through stuff really, really well in my spare time, because the songs had grabbed me and taken me with them. So the subject thing's hugely important. In the next song, it was called Outdoors. I'd started it as another comedy, but owing to that kind of increase in confidence, I guess, I'd found actually ended up a little bit of a look, still light-hearted, but a look at what it would be like, especially if you were shielding, to be locked down, shut in the house for months on end. And it also has an electric guitar solo in the video played on a pink ukulele. So here's a little bit of Outdoors. The autumn leaves are falling, and the east wind howls and rolls, and it's been 6 weeks since I set foot outdoors. After experimenting with those themes a bit more and feeling a bit more perhaps empowered to do some other themes other than just the very light-hearted stuff, I found just before Christmas in 2020 that I felt really affected by the government's decision to say, hey, it's fine, everybody get together at Christmas. In the end, they rescinded that decision. But at the time, it felt to me like the wrong decision to make. And so I hadn't dealt with anything really to do with the virus yet. And I felt that it was time, and I felt confident enough to put that forward. Again, using the same sort of style, although I went for a same rhyming style, I went for a kind of pop, strum along, Wonderwall-y classic type thing. Make of it what you will. You hear a bit of it in a minute. Called I Hope That COVID Knows It's Christmas. And that was really just a response to that government idea. And so that was my first foray, I guess, into really talking specifically about what I felt was a political decision. So here's a little bit of I Hope That COVID Knows It's Christmas. And the man in 13B puts his hand upon your knee and leans in close to whisper, bless us all. Well, I hope that COVID knows it's Christmas as we play our games of Twister by the fire. Yes, I hope that COVID knows it's Christmas and he won't let the case rate get much higher. By now, at the end of 2020, I had enough songs, plus a couple of tunes, instrumental tunes, to make an EP. And so that process I was talking about earlier of writing lots, because I'd written a lot more than these songs, but these were winnowed down to the ones that I felt really worked. And so I put an EP together. We'll talk again a little bit more about that in a minute. But I'd carried on then into 2021 with that idea that now I felt okay about writing some more stuff that had important themes. And I've been meaning for a really long time to write something around the theme of the environment and what we're doing to it. And so if you're watching this now in February 2021, you will remember the sea shanty epidemic that came from TikTok. But if you don't, if it's a bit further on, there was a sea shanty moment that exploded from TikTok. And so I decided, again using quite a heavily rhyming style, to look at using that as a peg to hang a song about the environment on. And so I came up with this one, which is called No Birds in the Air, No Fish in the Sea. And I put it onto Facebook. Lots and lots of people were kind of really moved and interested in it. And it went quite a long way. So finally now I've managed to get from those comedy, very light-hearted things to something that I really kind of feel passionately about. Passionately about, and I feel like that came across actually in the response to the song. So here's a little bit of the chorus of that song. No birds in the air, no fish in the sea. The flowers won't grow, now we got no bees. You can't eat fruit from the money tree, and plastic covers the ocean. No birds in the air, no fish
fish in the sea. The flowers won't grow, now we got no bees. You can't eat fruit from the money tree, and plastic covers the ocean.
So moving on next into 2021, I'm going to be looking at more themes. I'll keep some of the comedy. I really enjoyed writing all the comedy stuff, but maybe try and have the confidence to look at some more of those important themes as well. So watch this space, we'll see how it goes. All of the excerpts of the songs that you've heard, you can see lots of them as videos on YouTube, but they're also available partly as the EP that I released and as a single for the No Birds in the Air track on Bandcamp. So the address for that is down here, my Bandcamp address. Go there and check those out. Have a look. You can have a listen to them first, and then if you like them, you could buy them. It's entirely up to you. So I hope that some of what you've heard in this video is useful to you in terms of ideas to further your songwriting. If you've got ideas for songs that you'd like to see, get in touch, leave me a comment below, or go to my website and send me an email. That address is down below there now. Or if you've written any really cracking topical songs and you'd like me to hear them, let me know via one of those channels again. Share that stuff around and let's hear what you've done with it. And let's maybe start a discussion about new ways to write songs and different ways that we can all pick up from each other. So I hope that's been good, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a really good time and enjoy your songwriting. I'll see you soon. Bye.